All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everybody, to the Terry Hansen Show. I'm your host, Terry Hansen, and welcome once again to episode 36. And special greetings from Potato Land, Podunk. Excited to share some strategies and some ideas with you on how to boost your self-esteem. This is kind of the third part in a three-part live video series that we've just been doing. Go back and check out episode number 34, episode number 35, and this episode number 36. They're all kind of fitting in the same sequence. We've been talking about us as entrepreneurs, as sales professionals, as freelancers, some of the things that sabotage us, hang us up from filling up our sales pipelines, generating the quantity and quality of new business that we want to, growing our revenue, and really boosting our income. And we talked about some high performance elements to achieving selling success. We have our behaviors, our attitudes, our skills, and our knowledge. We understand that our attitude, this thing that rattles around between our ears, is a vital ingredient that really actually determines the level of our revenue and the quality and the quantity of our income. And if you and I are going to do a good job at growing our businesses and acquiring a lot of new business, we've got to somehow, some way get control over our thoughts, our emotions, our self-esteem, our self-concept, how we value ourselves and think about ourselves, because that sort of thing is the very thing that sabotages us and holds us back. Our own fears and insecurities will do a whopping number on us if we're not careful. So today we're going to talk about how to boost your self-esteem and really take control. Like a computer programmer. Now, let me share with you a quick little funny story. This goes back to high school days. When I was in the 10th grade at Skyline High School in Idaho Falls, Idaho, one of the classes that I took was a computer programming class. Now, back in the early 90s, the computer programming was just super basic, super simple. It was based on this premise of if-then. If this condition happens, then this response will follow. And we were in charge as students at programming what the if part is and then what the then part is. So I remember one of our assignments was we had a specific amount of sequences or codes that we needed to input. So you put up the parameter, if this situation exists, and in this case it was if they type in their name, then you would pre-program an automatic greeting to go. It was just super simple. That was it. And so once the code was input in there and I thought I had it right, I click submit or save or whatever. And then we were supposed to test it. So the prompt would pop up, hello, what is your name? That's the prompt, right? And then I would type in my name, Terry Hansen. And if I got it correctly, if the prompt worked well, then it would spit out an automatic message. Nice to meet you, Terry Hansen. How are you today? And that was it. That was the end of the computer program, end of the prompt. And so I got ready to test it, and so the prompt said, "Hello, what is your name?" And I typed in my name, and what popped back was, "Nice to meet you, error. How are you today?" And I went, it didn't work. I got the error message, so I had to go back into the program and fix it. But I've always remembered one of the things that I learned is if the outcome isn't what you're looking for, it's because a part of the code somewhere prior to is broken or not linked or sequenced correctly enough. So it was a pretty simple matter to go back and look at the if part and see what was broken. So that's what I had to do. In order to get an A on my assignment, I had to go back in and fix that. And to this day, I'm a terrible coder. I don't know anything about HTML. I really wish I did. It would make my life a whole lot easier. But you and I can think for a minute. We can take off our entrepreneur hat, our salesperson hat, our freelancer hat, and put on a computer programmer hat as we look at how to boost our self-esteem and our self-value and our self-concept and really give us that sort of confidence and assurity and assertiveness to do a good job growing our businesses. What do I mean by that? What I mean is there's a difference between the computer programmer and the computer program. There's a difference between you and me and our thoughts. The two are not one and the same. The program is different than the programmer. If the program is broken or not working, the programmer can proactively go in and fix some of the faulty code. And that's what you and I need to do with our negative beliefs, our negative thoughts, our head trash, as we called it in the last episode. right? That holds us back and sabotages our confidence and our self-esteem. So how do we do that? I want to run you through a little bit of an exercise that we can do together. So grab a piece of paper, and I want you to do this. On your paper, I want you to draw a little bit of a grid here. So on the left-hand side, this is going to represent some of the negative, demeaning, critical, judgmental thoughts that rattle around in your brain and or in my brain. Now, these thoughts come from our little gremlins. You remember we talked about that in the last episode. They perch right here on our shoulder, and throughout the course of our day, they have great access to our ear, and they sit there and they just chirp, and they whisper these negative, judgmental, critical, demeaning messages to us about how we're not good enough, or we're not worthy, or we're always going to be a failure, or we're not good at this, or we're not good at that, or we're annoying, or they just whisper these little negative, nasty messages that really sabotage our self-esteem. So this is where we're going to write down at least 3 of those messages. Now, I've put one up here on the board just as an example. So one of the negative messages that our little gremlins might whisper to us are something like, I'm not a good closer and I'll never earn a good income. I'm not a good closer and I'll never earn a good income. You take a minute and you write down the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 negative, demeaning, critical messages that you have a tendency, that your little gremlin has a tendency to tell yourself. These voices will always sound rude. They'll always play on your fears. They'll always play on your insecurities. They'll always play on your deepest, darkest, insecurities. And they'll just bring those to the surface and they'll just grind on them. So what are those messages? Take some time and write down at least three when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to generating new business, when it comes to reaching out to your ideal clients, when it comes to setting appointments with them and introducing yourself. What are some of those demeaning negative messages there? Write those down. Once you've got those down, then the next important part is, here's where the computer programmer part comes in. We've just gone in and identified where the broken code is, where the faulty line of code sequencing is. Now all we need to do is take that code out and replace it with the correct code. We've got to put in the correct code so that the program can work right. Does that make sense? Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So here's what we need to do. On the other side of the dividing line, we've got our negative stuff. Now we need our positive stuff. We're going to take this same message that our little gremlin likes to whisper to us and tell us, and we're going to rewrite that. We're going to rewrite the program in the 180-degree opposite, in the positive, okay? So we're going to take this statement and rewrite it, physically rewrite it as a positive. So in this example, I might rewrite this negative statement with something like this. I confidently close sales with those who qualify. I confidently close sales with those who qualify. And I am making steady progress towards building a 6-figure income. I'm making steady progress towards building a 6-figure income. Whatever the message might be, but it's 180 degrees opposite of the negative one. And it's phrased in the positive. These kinds of rewriting your program, rewriting your faulty code is the first step in really doing a great job at boosting your self-esteem, building your confidence. Now, so take a minute on your notes and go ahead and rewrite each and every single one of those negative gremlin messages. Rewrite them. Write them in the positive. Once you've got those down, then I have an invitation for you. 3 things that I want to invite you to do to cement this in your mind and to make it real. First off, what I want to invite you to do is we'll put these up on the board here so you can maybe get a good image of what they are. The first thing that you can do is create what I call a value board. A value board. Now, we've often heard about things like goal boards or vision boards, where you put a picture up of Hawaii or a fancy car that you want to have and you stick it on a poster board on your wall. You look at it every day and that inspires you to reach your goals. That's great. That's not what this is. A value board is a summary of the statements that you just wrote down. You find some images that reinforce the value and the truth of what you bring to the table, who you are, what you represent, the importance that you have, and your worthiness. You find some images that represent those statements that you just rewrote, the positive ones that you rewrote. Find some images there, put them on a poster board, put them up on the wall so that you can visually be reminded of who you are and the great worth that you have, what you bring to the table, and the value that you offer the world. That is a value board. Second recommendation that you do is write down a value manifesto. What is a manifesto? Manifesto. A manifesto is a declaration. It's a statement of fact. So once you have rewritten all the negatives into positives, take some time and amplify those, supplement those, write some additional ones, come up with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 additional ones, and summarize those, really wordsmith them well. Make the language powerful, make the language exciting, make it so that when you read it, it causes the little hairs on your arms and the back of your neck to stand up and gives you goosebumps. But then summarize those and then write out a manifesto. A manifesto is a declaration, and it's a document. Print that out, frame it if you want to, stick it right by your mirror, put it in your car, put it right by your computer, but have it there so that you can read it frequently, read it often. And so when the little gremlins sitting on your shoulders are chirping at you and telling you all the negative, nasty, horrible messages about how you're terrible and worthless, right? You can look at that manifesto and go, no, gremlins, guess what? What you're saying right now is garbage. Here's the truth. Here's my declaration of fact. And you read through your manifesto and you're reminded of what the truth really is. So that's my second recommendation. Third is do this. This is a fun one. Create a simple audio recording. Take your manifesto and grab your phone, hit the little voice recording button, and then read your manifesto with emotion, with enthusiasm, with eagerness. Record that manifesto into your phone. And so as you're driving around on the treadmill, anytime you need a pick-me-up, anytime you need some positive reinforcement, you just push play on that audio recording and listen to your phone and listen to that audio recording and listen to the correct, right, supportive, encouraging, loving, nurturing message that really do represent the truth about you. Now, your manifesto is always generous, it's always positive, it's always nurturing, it's always supportive, and it's always fact. It's always fact. It's giving you the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes you and I have to play computer programmer. We have to go into the program, find the crappy, faulty code that isn't working and producing those results that we want, and we've got to get rid of it. We've got to replace it with the code, with the programming, with the messages that are supportive, are nurturing, are true, are genuine, are correct, and are the things that are going to help our programs, our attitudes, and our mental state and our self-esteem support us and help us achieve the things that we want to. So when it comes to driving new business into your company and really reaching out and contacting your ideal clients, you and I can't be slaves to our negative beliefs, our head trash, and the negative stories that we tell ourselves. We cannot be held captive and held slaves to that sort of thing. We got to sometimes put on that computer programmer hat, find the bad stuff, replace it with the good stuff. So you've got your homework assignment. Step one, write down all the negative head trash, all the negative garbage that these little gremlins tell you. Step two, rewrite them in the positive. Step three, create a value board. Step four, write your value manifesto. And step five, create an audio recording so that you can remind yourself of the truth. And use that every single day. Get your brain set straight every single day. When you get up, you exercise, you get some good food, you meditate, listen to look at your value board, read your value manifesto, listen to your audio, and then hit the office, hit the day, and go get started. And as you do that as an entrepreneur, as a sales professional, as a freelancer, it will do more to boost your self-esteem, boost your confidence, get your brain straight about your mission and who you are and what you bring to the table than anything else. I hope some of these suggestions have made a difference for you and really helped. Post your comments below on other strategies that you have on improving and boosting your self-esteem. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, click the link in the description. Go over to our free Facebook group where you can learn how to master your sales elevator pitch and really get the training that you need to start filling up your sales pipeline. It's great to be back with you. I have a great rest of your day and a great rest of the weekend. I look forward to be back with you this next week on the next episode of The Terry Hansen Show. Take good care.